And welcome to another episode of 50 Shades and Grey, where I am joined today by Luke Worley, who is from M.A.F.S. The last season's, Luke, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm married and divorced.
All in the space of a year.
Yeah, literally. It was.
Yeah, well, we're going to get onto that and talk about that. But firstly, thank you for coming on to the show today.
No, thank you for having me.
Really wanted to get your perspective from a guy's point of view for a lot of the followers and listeners of the show. So that's going to be really important. So obviously shot to fame through M.A.F.S. Last year, which was a roller coaster journey for you. But what I wanted to do before we get to that part is what was your story before M.A.F.S, relationship wise, dating wise? Where was you before the show?
Yeah, do you know what? It's a weird one for me because M.A.F.S come about at the right time for me, to be fair, because I was with someone. I'm not one of these who like go out and like date multiple people. Like I was with someone when I was really young for 8 years. And then that relationship ended like kind of suddenly, to be fair. So from then, like I was like, I didn't really know how to date, if that makes sense, because I'd never really dated. I kind of jumped into a relationship when I was really young with them for 8 years. That was over. And then I kind of went like a bit dry, like on the dating scene for about 3 years, like 2.5, 3 years. And yeah, it was like a strange time for me because I didn't know how to date. It felt like, I could just imagine like when someone's like 60, they go through a divorce, like they don't know how to date because they've been married for so long. That's how I felt. So it's quite, I was like kind of can relate to people who have been through divorces after a long period of time, because even though I wasn't married, like an 8-year relationship when I hadn't really dated before, then coming out of that, I was like, whoa, what am I meant to do now, sort of thing. I'm meant to talk to women, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm a confident guy, like I talk to anyone. I've always worked in sales, so I'm good at talking, but it's like when it comes to relationships, especially with society these days where you have to watch what you say and watch what you do, like it's very much like you don't know really what to do anymore. And also without the dating experience, I kind of needed the help from M.A.F.S. And funny enough, after about a year of my breakup, M.A.F.S actually come knocking for the season about 2 years ago. And I said no because I wasn't ready. Like I was still kind of cut up about like that relationship, and like I said no. And then they come back to me and was like, look, we understand you broke up about a year ago. You want something to get over that relationship, but you're not ready for marriage just yet. We've got another show for you called Davina McCall's Language of Love. And I was like, And I was like, look, it'll help you get over your ex. It'll help you kind of get back on the dating scene. It'll give you that experience in dating, what I was like talking about I didn't have to them. So I decided to do this show called like Davina McCall's Language of Love, where we got flown out to like somewhere near Marbella, like in the mountains, really beautiful villa. And we got there, and it was quite a funny one actually, because we didn't really know what the show was. We didn't got told what the title was or nothing. We got there thinking it was just going to be like this chilled holiday and you'd meet a couple of girls. And then there's 3 of us English boys and then 3 Spanish talking girls walked out. And it turns out we was only allowed to date people in the villa who spoke a different language to us. So we didn't speak no Spanish. They didn't speak no English. So we got chopped right in the deep end, and we had to like basically try and communicate and build a connection without language, which actually it's a great concept. I mean, it's unfortunate it didn't blow up actually, because I think it's actually a really good concept. It just on at the wrong time on Channel 4. But that's when I kind of started to get over, after that experience, started to get over my relationship. And then obviously that was Channel 4 as well. So after the back of that, then the producers, like, they contacted me again for M.A.F.S the year after. And I was like, I don't really want to do another show. And then about 6 months later, they contacted me again for the 3rd year in a row. So they really wanted to be on M.A.F.S for some reason. I'm not sure what they see in me. Do you know what I mean? They probably just know I talk for England.
So when you say they're contacting you, were you on some sort of agency, or was this just through Instagram, or how are they getting sort of to you?
No, it's through Instagram. So I think, I don't know for a fact, but I think it was because I had something like quite lucky happen to me. This is quite a funny story actually. So I was on holiday. This was probably about 6 months after my breakup. I was on holiday with the boys. It was meant to go, this is during COVID actually, during lockdown. It was meant to go Ibiza, but then Ibiza got locked down. Then Tui was like, you could like go to this destination. We managed to go to Greece. There was the only place basically open at the time. We went to Greece and we met these girls there while we was there, and I got one of the girls' numbers. And I said, I'll call you tomorrow. England were playing Germany at the time because the Euros were on. And I tried to call her, it didn't go through. So then I video called, I called her through WhatsApp, through video call, through the Wi-Fi, because my signal was terrible. And Maya Jama answered. So the person gave me the wrong number, and it was actually Maya Jama's number, and she actually answered, so we had a video call, and it was a bit caught on camera. Like, my friend started recording, and that blew up all over the press. So I think that's how these producers noticed me originally. They heard me on the radio talking about it, see me in the Sun newspapers, and I think because it obviously blew up massively, and it was quite a funny like dating blunder, I think they thought, you know what, this guy would be quite good on one of our shows, and I think that's where they originally got hold of me. They never told me that, but it was just weird that I randomly got messages from producers after that. So I'm guessing it's that. And yeah, and obviously once you know, once you've been on TV once, then you're always in the eye line of other producers. So then, yeah, I think you end up getting offered other stuff eventually.
So just taking you back, when you say, because something that I get a lot of messages on about your breakup, when you say it came about suddenly, was that suddenly for both of you, or was that suddenly just for you and you maybe had missed signals along the way?
Yeah, 100% missed signals along the way. Like for my ex of 8 years, like after it ended, she was like, she was giving me signals. She was saying, I mean, I felt I was blindsided, but I can't say she blindsided me because she may have been like, I think as we all know, after a certain period of time in any relationship, it's not like the honeymoon period anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand how relationships work. I understand after a certain period of time, it does sometimes get what people class as boring. But in my eyes, that's not boring. That's just becoming one. Do you know what I mean? One with each other. That's becoming family, and that's what you want, basically, in a long-term relationship. So I think she didn't really see that in the relationship. She just saw it. Oh, it got boring. It's got boring, and then it kind of ended like that. But it's like, don't get me wrong. I was devastated, like, because I felt so blindsided, but I just didn't expect it at all. Like, her family were my family. If that makes sense. Like, it was just like normal, like a normal day. So I had to change my whole life. Like, I lost my home, my pet, like her family, which is mine. I lost everyone. So it was a big, big time in my life. But if I'm honest, I'm thankful because it helped me grow up. I'd never really lived on my own. So pretty much a couple of months after the breakup, I had to get my own place. And then, like, I've never really looked back. So it's kind of given me the independence that I never really had. And obviously it's unlocked doors for me, which I never would have had the opportunity to do. So I think everything does happen for a reason. And I'm kind of grateful for it now.
I had a similar experience as well, so I understand where you're coming from. But there's that moment, I don't know if you had it, where when you meet up with them again and you can see all the feelings they had for you before have just left. They've just gone. And it's an awful feeling that you get for yourself, because you look at that person and it's like, they don't feel anything from me at all now. And it does
true.
take a while to get over.
No, yeah,
so
right.
Because again, something else that you said, and I think a lot of people empathise with, is that suddenly thrust into sort of the dating scene again after 8 years, which is a long time. And in those particular 8 years, there was a massive change in how people dated as well. So how did you find that all of a sudden it was sort of gone from meeting someone in a bar or a club and then, you know, having a few messages to just everything was on apps after that?
Yeah, no, it is. It's really wild, to be fair. It's because it's like the new generation coming through as well. It's like, I kind of missed that time where obviously I used to still go out occasionally when it was in a relationship, but I didn't really do that either. Like, I didn't go out to meet someone either. So, but then it come to dating apps.
Yeah.
At first I thought, oh, this is a good tool to have. But then ultimately, like, when you go on these dating apps, you don't really know the person that you're seeing. Like, don't know, the person you're seeing is just the best pictures they're going to post. They'll post 3 or 4 pictures. They're the best pictures. Most of the time, they're all filtered. So I mean, so you don't really know who you're getting to know. And look, I'll be honest, looks are really not that important to me. Okay, yeah, they're important to a certain extent, but 80% of it to me is the person. So I do understand where dating apps could help. But the problem is, you can't, if someone's catfished you, and even if you get on with them, then it's still an element of deception. So if you do meet that person, they look nothing like they do in the photo. Even if you vibe with them through message, it automatically puts you off and gives you the ick, because they've basically lied to you in some way. And it's unfortunate because maybe that person, even if they put a real picture up originally, and I may not have been my typical type, like if I've got one, but if you vibed, and then you automatically grow to find that person more attractive. I truly believe that. So I think people do themselves an injustice when they filter their pictures too much. Like, look, let's be honest. You can change the contrast, change the backlighting, cool. Like, make yourself stand out a bit in the photo, but don't put a filter on where it changes your face totally. I think that's one thing we've got into in this society where it's like a bit of a competition who can look the best in a photo. And unfortunately, it's not helping dating at all. I think it's actually making dating a lot harder for people.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to come on to that a little bit more later on, because I just want to take you back. So the show came about, and obviously, M.A.F.S is a massive show. It's a fantastic show as well. But it is essentially an arranged marriage. So Pakistan, Japan, Iran, Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, these are all places that, have arranged marriages. And before we came in, I was just doing a bit of research. The divorce rate for arranged marriages is 4%, which is compared to, I think it's about 44% in European countries. So how was that, having an arranged marriage? What were your fears, thoughts, feelings going into it?
Yeah, look, I think going into it, it was a massive, massive risk. And if I'm honest, like during the application process, like when you have to fill in the form, basically, they ask you kind of what your type is, what sort of person you want. So you do have a little bit of movement of like what you want. With me, I didn't fill out the looks paper. I wanted someone who I could get on with, who could find funny, like be a good friend with, do you know what I mean? Have a laugh and get on with my friends and family. That's the sort of vibe I was going for. So mine was a very much proper arranged marriage compared to a lot of the other cast members, to be fair, because they kind of chose what they wanted kind of looks wise. But it's a tough one because with actual arranged marriages outside of M.A.F.S, the families still get to meet the person before the marriage. So they still and they get to choose whether that person's right for them. With M.A.F.S, it's fully blind. Like you do not know. The only people get to see that person is the producers, like the casting producers and the executive producers. Like they're the only people can get to see, and they're the ones who do the matchmaking. Like people think it's the experts what matchmake on M.A.F.S. It's not. It's the actual casting producers what do the matchmaking, and then they run it by the experts after. But the experts are never going to say no because they're being told that this is who we've got matched. It is very, you're putting your future in the producers and casting producers' hands. And the question I ask now, are they qualified to be matchmaking? Of course they're not. So I mean, that's why like M.A.F.S, the rate of successful M.A.F.S couples is very, very low. There's been a handful out of all of the series.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say, and we had this on the show that we was on, I think what they are qualified in is to do the job that they're doing. And in fairness to them, that's what they've got to do. They're producing a show. Exactly. They're making a show. So, and like us guys that go on it, you kind of just have to, if you're putting yourself out there, you've got to go, well, okay, I'm doing it. So, that's what it is in the end, isn't it? But I understand what you mean in terms of, I think maybe they're putting you together for the show as opposed to you. But that first moment where because essentially you are getting married, aren't you? For all intents and purposes, you are getting married. So you're at the end of an aisle, and that moment when you looked down, what was that like? When the doors open,
do you know what?
And your bride comes in.
Yeah, so it was so strange. Like the build up. So I was like in a room with my best man for like 7 hours before the ceremony. Like just me and him, and one of the producers coming in and out and said like, bring us a couple of beers or a prosecco, whatever. I didn't have no nerves at all. They was asking me, like, interviewing me like on camera. Are you nervous? I was like, I'm not. I don't have 1 ounce of nerves. The second I stood at the end of the aisle, I couldn't have stopped shaking. Like it was so weird, and I'm not really a nervous sort of person. So then, and I was like, I heard him like behind me, and like there was like a producer to the right hand side, and he was like, when I give you the nod, turn round. And as soon as he nodded, then that's it. My nerves I was a mess. I didn't want to turn, but I had to because I knew I was like being filmed. And I turned round, And if I'm honest, it was quite relief because Jay like instantly looks bubbly. She looks like very approachable. Like looks like someone I would definitely get on with. Do you know what I mean? She didn't look, because I don't like girls that look stuck up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know, like that resting bitch face sort of vibe?
Yeah.
Like that puts me off like
Yeah,
straight away.
unapproachable.
Yeah, unapproachable. Yeah, so I was hoping that wasn't the person I'd see. So, and when it wasn't, I was relieved, and I was like, okay, cool. She looks like right, good fun. Do you know what I mean? And I think I knew what the process was going to be roughly. So I thought, you know what? At least be paired with someone who's going to make it fun for me through the process. So I was very, very much relieved. And like I said, I don't have a type, so I wasn't disappointed and overly happy with Jay's looks, because it's not something I look at to start with. Like, for me, my type kind of grows, if that makes sense. Looks grow when I get to meet when I get to know someone. So for me, that wasn't an issue. I didn't really kind of look at looks at all. I looked at like the vibe she gave off, and she gave off the right vibe, which was good for me, really.
So did it, after like you came away from like the marriage part of it, did you sort of go into a normal relationship, or because you're in the show, it's always a little bit sort of odd, if you like?
Yeah, so it is very odd. The first couple of days is like, so obviously we get jetted off to a honeymoon like within like 12 hours of the wedding. Like, we hardly even slept, and but then we're on a plane to the Caribbean. So it's like we sat each other on the plane. So it could have been awkward, if that makes sense. In my head, I was thinking, hope it's not awkward. But it was actually good. But with someone else, it could have been awkward. Depends what sort of vibes you both got.
Yeah.
But it is very much like you're kind of chucked in the deep end. And the reason that is because like the producers and the people in your ear, they're like, you have feelings for her yet? They asked, and are you in love with her yet? They ask you that like every day, multiple times a day. So then you start telling yourself that, like, you start like thinking, should I feel like this, or shouldn't I feel like this? Like, so then you're in this bubble, and then you're so trapped in that bubble, you start having these sort of feelings that you've never had before. Then like you're thinking that, yeah, I'm really into this person, like I'm falling for this person, where like in that moment it feels real, but it is all very, not purposely, they're not doing it on purpose, but it's very influenced. Your feelings are very influenced within that environment, because it's such a different environment. Like, you're not used to being like chucked in a deep end with someone random, and you're married and you're sharing the same bed. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, so you are very much, you're in love. Do you know what I mean? So much so that you start believing that you have these strong feelings. Do you know what I mean? It's not until you come out of the process when actually reality hits you both, and it's like, it's not going to be the same. We've both got jobs. We both live so far away. Like, how is this going to work? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's like towards the end of the process during M.A.F.S, you start feeling that, especially when like you get like the family visits and stuff. Like, we've got friends and family visit us in the apartments, and they ask them sort of questions, and it kind of hits home actually. Like, what are we going to do after this? Like, do you know what I mean? So it is very like you're in a bubble.
What does it look
bubble
like?
bursts, exactly, yeah, and you can't really see from the outside into that bubble. And I think that's the worst part of the process.
Yeah, it does, and it comes around quite quickly as well. And I look back now, and all the feelings that you have in those moments, like that, they're all you felt them, and they were real, but they disappear so quickly when you get back to sort of real life. And it does take sort of 2 or 3 months, and not that anyone's at fault, just that life kicks in, and the normality of life just takes over, and it allows you to take stock of things and sit back. And like you say, you haven't got people telling you all these things, and you're in this bubble where you want to believe it yourself. And then you suddenly think like that was the strangest experience. But so having sort of like, so go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say like and I think the big thing is you don't really get to know each other properly in that, because you only get to know each other in that environment. When you come out, there's certain things about each other you see and you hear them say, and like you see how they act, and you're like, actually, this is not the sort of person for me, and she would have thought the same about me. Do you know what I mean? So you don't actually know the person; you only know them within M.A.F.S. You don't know their actual real life. Do you know what I mean? So I think that is a big thing when you come out.
Yeah, no, but so in there, because when you watch the show, you've got like I want to call them sort of therapists, counsellors that are helping the relationship. Are they having a lot of influence in terms of just guiding you and helping you? And was that helpful having that?
So do you mean like the actual psychologists behind the scenes, or do you mean the three experts on screen?
The three experts on the couch that sit with you in the rooms and go through everything.
Again, so this is a bit of an insight actually. So a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff they do say, they're being told to say. So it's not coming from their expert. You hear them, they've got an earpiece in, and they're like, "Oh, hold on," and it's all stop and start. And so some of the stuff they want them to tell us is actually coming from the producers. But some they do have an opinion though. Say for example, I had a row with Jay, and they would mediate, and that'll be their own opinion on the argument. Like, actually, no, you could have done this better. This is what you're doing wrong. So they do help. Like me and Jay were so solid throughout most of it that we didn't really. We was probably one of the ones that maybe a couple in there that didn't really need as much support from the experts. Our couch sessions were quite like quick, really. It was on there for like 15-20 minutes. Some people are on there for like an hour. So yeah, it's very much, they do help you if you need it, but you don't know where the information's coming from. And I think this is the problem. You only realise this towards the end, or probably the middle to the end of the process, where actually they're always in their ear. Should I say this? Like, you can hear them talking to the producers, and the producer talking to them in their ear, telling them what to say, how to say it, what subjects to talk about. Obviously, they've got to do it for entertainment. That's what TV's about. They need to bring up the subjects which they're going to show. Do you know what I mean? They know what they've already recorded, so they know and obviously the experts don't get to see what's already happened behind the scenes, but the producers do. I think that's the thing. Like, you don't, in the environment, you don't know whether you're getting the advice from the experts or from the producers. And sometimes when you get to the back end of the process, it's like, are you actually here to help me, or are you just here to make a fool of me? Do you know what I mean? Like, so you have to be, you get your wits about you as the longer it goes on, because you know who to trust, who not to trust. Like, and it's very much like each for their own towards the back end. And that's why a lot of stuff happens on M.A.F.S. Like, a lot of drama happens towards the back end of that. After the middle of the show, it starts getting tasty with the drama, because people start thinking, do you know what? I don't care what you're going to tell me, producer. I'm going to do what I want, sort of thing, because they know what they can and can't do. So it's very much, the experts are good. I absolutely love, like Paul, for example. Paul and Charlene, I love them too. Mel, I wasn't too much of a fan of. She did tell me a couple of things that were actually factually wrong. Like, she said you can't change attachment styles. I'm like, well, you definitely can change attachment styles over time. Like, she's meant to be an expert. Do you know what I mean? Them sort of things, when they're telling you things that you know 100% of not true, and you're meant to be an expert, I'm like, are you actually an expert, or are you just a TV expert? But Paul and Charlene were brilliant for me on there. I still speak to Paul occasionally, actually.
It's good. So coming out of the show, obviously, and as relationships do, they didn't work out for you, unfortunately. Then I was reading on your Instagram the other day, I think you're back on Hinge. Like, so just want to talk about dating apps and tell us what that's like now, because obviously I would imagine you're much more recognisable now on the app. So are you, like, what apps are you using? How are you finding them? What would you recommend? All of those things.
Yeah, look, dating apps are not easy, especially coming on the back of a show, because the problem is I get loads and loads and loads of people swipe me, but it's like, I don't know what their intentions are. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. So the hard thing for me now, after being on TV, even though I wouldn't say I'm famous, but I'm recognisable to certain people, and some people see that little bit of recognition as a bit of clout, and that's unfortunate, because then you don't get sometimes you don't get the true person come in there that's with you, because they think you've got X, Y, and Z when in fact you haven't. But yeah, dating apps overall, they're okay. I'm still getting my head around it myself. I think the issue with it is, obviously, what I find is it's hard to see the true person on a dating app, because obviously the filters and stuff, like there's a lot what goes on dating apps, and they're only going to show you the best side to them. So it's not the same as meeting someone in a pub, like, because you see them had a couple of drinks, they've let loose a bit. You see a true reflection of that person when they're out and about with their friends, because they just let go. Do you know what I mean? So, and they're not trying to impress you. And until you actually speak to them, then they might change their attitude and try and impress you. But you can look at someone from afar when you're out and about. Where on dating apps, you're only seeing what they want you to see. But what I would say, like, I think if you can post at least, if you're posting 4 photos on dating app, post one of them at least without a filter, just to give someone a true reflection. Like what I do now, this is a little trick for everyone actually using dating apps. So a lot of people on dating apps will put their Instagram handle on their dating app, or you can still search them like via locations and name on Instagram if they don't have that. So what I do, a little trick, is I search the person's Instagram, and then on the Instagram I go to tagged photos. So it's not photos they've posted, so it's photos they've been tagged in, because a lot of the time, whoever's tagged them in it, they've only filtered themselves on that photo and left the other people unfiltered. So you get to see an unfiltered version of that person. And I think that's the way to go forward, because then you're getting a true representation of someone's looks. And I do think, like, if you are talking to someone for a few weeks from a dating app, and then you go to meet them and don't look like the same person, even if you vibe with that person like the best you've ever vibed with anyone, it'll instantly put you off because you feel you're being deceived in some way. So I think that's the issue. It's not that someone's shallow, because I'm not shallow, but if I went to someone, they look different, I feel like I haven't been talking to that person. Does that mean it's a bit of a lie, really, to a certain extent, even though it's innocent?
I think you create a picture in your head, don't you? And you think, right, this is the person I'm talking to. This is how it's going to work. And then when they look different to what you've had in your head, it takes everything away immediately. And it does make you feel really bad about yourself, actually. I found I haven't done them for ages now, but I stopped doing them because of those things, really. I'd go to meet people that I'd been talking to for a couple of weeks, getting on really well, and then it was just different as soon as you saw them. And then you think, how can I get on with someone this well and then feel completely differently? And like you say, you do feel shallow about yourself. You think, I'm not that shallow, but it's not like meeting someone in a bar or meeting because you can do things on dating apps. Like you can read something silly, like, oh, they're a vegan. If I met someone in a pub and they went, oh, I'm a vegan, you wouldn't think anything of it. But for some reason, if you read it on a dating app, you start thinking, can't date a vegan because we're not going to be able to go out for dinner at the same places. That's going to be enough. But you'd never do that in real life. And I guess it's the same for women doing it with guys as well.
No, 100%. So, I agree. I think.
So, what is it like when you're looking through, Luke, and you're going through women? What is one thing that will be a no for you, like a definite not for me?
But so this is actually like quite growing up for me saying this. Actually, it's nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with like personality. It's to do with what they want, what their life goals are. So, for example, if they don't want kids, it's a no for me because I want kids. Like that's a big thing for me. That's like the only deal breaker I would say. I don't mind if they've got kids already. Like that doesn't bother me. But they have to want more kids, or at least one more child. And I think the biggest thing for me, if they come across stuck up, I think I'm very down to earth. Like I'll be friends with everyone. Do you know what I mean? That's the sort of person I am. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. Like. And I do find that it sounds really bad of me, but I find I automatically have an opinion on someone when they look like they've got money. So this is my issue at the moment. Like, if I see someone, like a woman, and if she's got all her Louis Vuitton bags, like Rolex watches on in the pictures, it puts me off. And only because I don't know why, but I'm being judgmental here because I think, oh, they're going to be stuck up, but they're not. They might not be, but that's just me being judgmental from a dating app. And I think that's why dating apps are so dangerous, because I could meet someone who dresses like I've got designer stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not stuck up, so I'm being stupid about it, really. But if I met someone in person, then I can tell they're not stuck up straight away. With a dating app, you just got a picture to go by, and you're like, do you know what I mean? So that normally puts me off on dating apps, but the big thing for me is them wanting them children.
Yeah. I know what you mean about the Louis Vuitton, and because I think for me, I then feel there's going to be an expectation of a certain sort of lifestyle, because when they've posted sort of they're at this restaurant, they're at that restaurant, you're thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to do that every week, so that's definitely not going to work out. You want someone that's more grounded. So, but it is that could just be 2 photos that they've got that they've put on there, and they could be nothing like that at all. But on some of the dating apps using videos now, because I thought that was quite a good idea. And I don't know how that works, or if people just find shortcuts around that. Yeah,
so some of the dating apps do have, like, you can have add a little, like, a few second clip on there. Not many people, you don't have to do it though. So I personally don't. If I'm honest, I don't really have any videos to post on there. Like, But a lot of people like post like them like just doing like a boomerang video of them on a night out sort of thing, which is better to a certain extent because then it's harder to filter a video. So you get to see someone a bit more true on that video than you would do a picture, for example. But I think you are right. I think the video side of it does actually work. But I do think a good idea for a dating app would be if when you match with someone, before you can message them, you have to do an instant selfie. So, and then that unlocks you being able to message that person. Because then they get an actual, a live, and look, it doesn't matter how you look, they can get your makeup done, do you know what I mean? And it will stop people from messaging a lot. But then that means if someone does do that, that means they are really interested in you because they're showing all. Does that mean them showing themselves bare, like no filter, no nothing? But that unlocks them to be able to message you. I think that would be a good idea because then you get a true reflection of them. But there is a dating app actually. But I've not gone on it, but it's a double dating app. So you like your friends. I don't know how it exactly works, but I saw it on TikTok and it actually sounds quite good. So like you and your friend, you have a profile each, but then you join it together, and then you kind of like you both have to agree that the person's good for your friend. So two people have to agree, like yourself and your friend have to agree that they're going to be good for you, and then vice versa. Then you go out on a double date. So that means like you're basically not only are you. So a lot of people just date because of looks, so they're choosing for themselves. But their friend might be like, actually, you need someone a bit more grounded. So I'm going to have a look at them. If I don't think they're right for you, I'm going to decline the date request basically. So it's quite of a fun.
But you know how guys work. Guys are just selfish. They're not going to care about you. They're just going to be interested in them, thinking, "Well, I want to go. You can just come with me."
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
So, what's your chosen app at the moment? What would be your sort of your top one that you would say to people, especially for women? Because I'm always getting asked, like, which one to use, and I've been out of them for a little bit now, so I'm not really sure. So, but what ones do you find workable?
Yeah, I think Hinge is probably the best one. The simple reason is you can put more information in there. You can get to know someone a bit more. You can do like voice notes on it. So a lot of people do like voice prompts on their profile. So you get to hear their voice and you feel a bit more connected with that person, even if it's slightly. And yeah, you can put a bit more information. You can have a bit of fun on there. You can have like a little quiz. You can do like 2 truths and a lie, and they can guess what one of they are. So it's more interactive, like with the person. So you kind of actually building that connection from the start. But Tinder is okay. It's got better, but it's one of them things. I think if you're looking for a hookup, maybe Tinder's the one. If you're looking for like maybe a date.
Yeah, I never did Tinder, but I always got that impression it was just a sort of a hookup site, really.
Yeah, there's more to it than that, but I think probably 60-70% of people on there are more hookup, where Hinge, 60 to 70% of people on Hinge, I would say, are probably more to date. So it's that's more the dating wise. And with Hinge as well, like people can be honest about it. It says, what are you on here for? It says short term, okay, but looking for long term or just long term. So you can say you fancied like meeting up with someone just on the weekend to hook up. You can change your profile to short term and then match someone who's also short term. So then you can it's more than people not getting hurt. But then it's then you understand if say I'm short term and someone wants a long term relationship, then I know that if I'm going to try and get into that for a short term thing, I'm going to end up hurting that person. So it's going to be morally wrong. So it kind of gives people the understanding what other people are looking for before you match with them. Yeah,
no, but I think at the same time, the other person knows it as well. So everyone knows where they are in the relationship. So the more stuff that's out there, the better I think with it. How about Bumble? Did you ever use that?
No, I've never used Bumble, to be honest. But I've heard it isn't bad. I've heard it's like a couple of people I know use Bumble. I think you get a lot of dates from Bumble, and people seem to be more open to it. But it's one of them ones. I can't be more than 2 dating apps. Me, I'm just about to do. If I'm honest, I'm one of these. It's hard to reply to people. Do you know what I mean? I find it hard to I'll reply a couple of times, and then you kind of get bored of it because dating is boring. Like when it's through a phone. Like face to face is much better.
It's a full-time job as well, Luke, isn't it? Like it really is. Because you want to reply to people because you don't want to, you don't want to be rude, but at the same time, it is like, and every time you start a new conversation, it's the same. It's all the same questions because they're the natural questions that you would ask, but because you're texting them and not having a conversation, they're just so much more monotonous. All of it. It'd almost be better off with like a a video introduction where you can skip that first, like, what do you do, where do you live, and all of those things as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's true. Yeah, like literally, it is true, because I think ultimately we're hiding behind the screen. Do you know what I mean? So you're not, even if you can't be bothered, somebody just reply to a message just to get the message replied to, if you're not being rude. But actually,
Yeah.
if you're not into that person, you're not into them. Do you know what I mean? Like, and face-to-face interaction, whether it's through a video call or something else, you kind of you can kind of tell if someone's into you when you can see their face on video or in person. So I think that's the only issue with dating apps, is the pictures side of things, really.
So out of since you've been doing it, have you been on many dates, and have they gone okay? Or
so if I'm honest, I haven't. Like, I'm kind of getting to the stage now where I'm like getting ready to date again. So I've not long come out of a relationship, like a month or so ago. So yeah, I'm not really ready. Probably early September, I'll be ready. I'll be jumping back on the dating scene. Like, obviously I've exchanged messages between people, like, and that's kind of the vibe. I'm kind of getting back into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where for me, I don't like just jumping into dating. It's like, because I think if you're not ready, then someone ends up getting hurt, either yourself or the other person. And I think it's not right, and it's not fair to put someone else through that. But they might really like you, but actually then you realise I'm not really ready to date. Then they might fall for you really quick, and then you're hurting someone. So I think this is the only advice I can give to anyone, is that until you're fully ready to meet someone, it's probably best not to. Don't get me wrong, you can go out and you can go on dating apps and talk to people, as long as you're upfront with them. Look, I'm not that far out of a relationship, or I'm not that ready yet, but I want to kind of I'm on the app to kind of talk to people and kind of get to that place. Then that's okay. But I wouldn't say go out and date people for relationships. Date for fun, yeah, as long as you're being honest from up front and saying, this is dating for fun. But I think if you're going out and just dating and don't give the person the heads up on where you actually are when it comes to what you want from your dating experience, then unfortunately someone could get hurt if you're not ready for that. And I think it's kind of not fair.
It's good advice. But listen, mate, I just want to say thank you for coming on today.
No, I appreciate
I'll put all Luke's details on here, so you guys can have a look and go and follow Luke as well. It's been really lovely for you to just be so open and honest with everything as well, Luke. And I'm sure everyone will really enjoy listening to it. But just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Having me on. No, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching 50 Shades in Grey. Don't forget to subscribe below and follow all the other videos that we've done. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. And don't forget, from September, Luke's going to be ready to date. So jump on Hinge, find him. He's out in Clacton Way, and he'll take you out.